Hey, everybody. So good to actually be on. Uh, I'll tell you what, this is like take three, actually. Actually could be take four or even five, because it was supposed to be last week. We ran into some technical difficulties. Then this week, I forgot my power cord when I came here. I thought it was here, it wasn't here. Then I had to delay and delay. Thank you, Kyla, for bringing the power cord to the house. But I am telling you, we have such a fun show tonight. It's going to be the 2020 show with Roe and Doe. You got to hang on. It's going to be awesome. And there it is. Chris Rowe.
That's a really good intro, by the way.
I like it. It's fun. Thanks for Ken Walls for putting that together for us. It's time for some. It's time to spruce it up and put a little something new in there.
Okay.
But I do like it. I agree with you. Roe, I wanted you to know that I didn't tell you this before we were talking, but I wore this red shirt because your last name, Rojas.
Ah.
Is it really? It doesn't mean red, but Rojas in Spanish is red, right?
Did you take Spanish in high school?
I did.
Mm.
And college.
And can you speak it?
No, I'm not a.
All right. 8 years of Spanish and we can't speak it. What's wrong with this teaching system?
Well, I'm going to go this for Bowling Green folks to let them know that I went the cultural route in college. So I stopped the language side and I just decided to go and study the culture of the Spanish.
Got it. But you can speak patois, I'm sure.
Yes, man. We can chat patois enough, you know? Can talk a lot of patois. It's easier if I have someone who chats patois to me and I can get an engagement. But like a lot of people will say to me like, hey, say something patois, you know? And I'd be like, oh, okay. You know, I just don't just pull something out usually. But like if Jolene, I don't know if you've seen her on any of the other stuff that we do. When she starts rolling with me, or if you get Ringo chatting with me, oh my golly, we can get on and on. So I want everybody.
Have you? I'm sure you brought up that story of going there on spring break back in the day, and we don't have to rehash that. They've seen that.
That one got out there. It's definitely been brought up. That was really more with Doug Bell. You know, we spent some time with that because it was me and Doug that went down there on the very first trip back in spring break and met Sweetie Charlie and you know that whole fiasco.
Hey, I got a story about Sweetie Charlie real quick.
Go ahead.
If I can.
Oh
so
yeah.
This was my first introduction to Jamaican culture, and it was just perfect. Besides the getting on the bus and holding on, and the bus doesn't really have stops. You wait until somebody yells, let off, and then the bus stops, and some people get off that said let off.
Yeah.
But you know, I'd been there. I'd come down to visit you in '96, I think, and it was it had been cloudy. You know, Jamaica. You know, all you see is Caribbean blue and sun. Hi there, and and it was cloudy for the first almost like 3 days I was there. Cloudy, like hardly any sun.
Yeah.
And I said, Charlie, I said, when's the sun going to be here? You know, I come down here for the sun. I'm only here a week. When's the sun going to be here? And he's like, sun soon come.
Soon
and
come.
I'm like, so I'm thinking to myself, oh yeah, he's the native. He's been here for years. You know,
Yeah.
It's like, he's wise, man. He can hold his finger up, and he's going to tell me exactly when the sun comes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I go, when? And his answer was, soon. And I go, that's all I needed to know. Yep. Yeah, pretty much the next day the sun was there. So
there you go.
No timetable.
You know, for all of our Jamaican people that watch, because you know this goes out on Professional Eye Care Jamaica. They're all real. I love that, bringing that one up on the soon come, because soon come is just a very undescriptive value. You know, it could be 5 minutes. It could be 5 hours. It could be 5 days.
Right.
It's gonna be 5 months.
And well, and 5 days was like, no, it's soon. It did come soon. 5 days, not that long.
It's not
Right?
that long, really. In the big scheme of things, it's not that long.
Not.
Hey, got a shout out to one of our faithful followers, Dorothy. It's her birthday today. 69
Yes.
years young. Said the last time
That
she
looks great.
was when she went whitewater. When you guys went water rafting.
Yeah.
When was that?
Yeah. I was not a Christian.
Ooh,
That
was that like our wedding? Like that was after my wedding?
I don't know when it was, but I just remember that I had a lot of curse words that weekend at some point. And you were like, "Ro, come on." Yeah.
Oh. Well, we did become Christian at different times.
Yes.
And I want to get to that later. I want to talk about
Yeah.
that later
Okay.
because it's who you are, you know. But let's talk a little bit about, just to give everybody a background, because I like to always kind of tell everybody kind of what, you know, the meanings of the show are basically to help me to tell the story of what God's done in my life and in professional eye care, Mission of Sight, our charity. Because so many people come down or they get engaged and they say, boy, you should write a book. And I'm always saying, you know, I'm not a book writer. I don't even read. I did Cliff Notes, which we were talking about that a little bit before. And I'm a Cliff Note guy, but I knew I could do videos. So one of the parts of this that we're still going on, and now that we're in June, you know, May was kind of like some of the Mother's Day month, and now this is Father's Day month. And I spent time with a lot of the women that were influential in my life. And if you're influential in my life, you're influential in Jamaica and professional eye care and Mission of Sight, because, you know, we're all an extension of one another. So when it comes to June now, we got you on. I wouldn't say that you're a father, but for everybody to know, you're like the one dude who would be my friend when I really, really needed a friend. Like, yeah. I had gone through parental divorce. I'm even trying to think back when I was in Marlboro Elementary. I mean, I think I remember Dwayne Pontius.
Pontius, yes.
Yeah, I remember that name. And
he was your best friend.
He was one of my best ones, yeah. But I didn't really have a bunch of best. I was really clingy, is what I found out in one of the last shows, was that I clung to my mom, because I think my mom was the last one on the show. So I was really, I didn't want to leave home. I was very much like that. So when I get to Lake High School, parents are divorced, new school district. I go from a school that is, I think we had 50 people in a class, and go to Lake, and I think it was like 500. It felt like It wasn't that much, right? Mm-hmm. I come in, I don't know what time of the year, but it wasn't a good time. It wasn't at the beginning. It was maybe towards the end of the year, middle of the year. Yeah. And I think that you're like my friend. Like my perception was, wow, I get to be friends with this guy named Chris Roa, like Chris, right? But I want everybody to hear the story about how we became friends.
Okay. Well, you want me to tell it?
Absolutely.
All right. Because did she share it with you later, or did I have to? How do you know this? Because I told you.
Yeah, I think you told me.
All right.
And then because of the way you were so kind of about it, I think it kind of came out that, you know, I think that teacher was kind of like, well, Chris, you know, Doug's a new student here, and then I was like, oh, so I'm kind of
So Mrs. Johns was our 5th grade teacher, homeroom teacher, and I had my group of guys there, and then you're the new kid and everything, and you're kind of not, you know, you're not talking much, and I don't know, maybe it's your first or second day, I can't even remember. Yeah. But she comes over between break or early in class and says, hey, you know, Doug's, you know, he just moved here. His parents just got a divorce. He's having a really hard time. I was hoping that I'd like you to go ahead and show him around and kind of, you know, hang around him for, you know, be his friend here. And I just gave her the, do I have to, you know, and fast forward, because I think one of your college dudes said this once when you said, hey, you know, you're pretty cool, I'd like to hang out with you. And he told you, you know, I already got 5 friends, but I'll put you on the list.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know, if one of those drops off, you can hop in and then we can start hanging out. What's that?
Then he does space for it.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's how I kind of felt. It's like I already have He did his student teaching with Mrs. Johns. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I did that. I capitulated and I hung around you. And really the only thing I remember about that year, besides standing in the hallway that one time waiting to go into class and me saying a joke about someone, was that thing about, I mean, I think it was that math contest where we really started. I mean, I wouldn't say this, it was this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The math contest, because after I called you out and said, what is he doing in this room? We're all the smart kids. What is he doing in this room? Yeah. And then I remember the teacher's response, Chris, you'd be surprised at how well Doug does in math. I'm like, oh, okay, fine. Well, I'm the best, but we'll see what this guy's doing. We'll see what he's got.
That is so true, too. That would have so been your attitude. Well, I mean,
right.
I think he's got something. Let's see it.
Bring it on. So, right, we do that Stark County math contest with all the schools down there, and you come in first in fractions. I came in first in mental computation,
which is way better. It's way harder.
It is way harder, by the way. You had the easy thing. Somebody came in first in Lake of Word Problems, I think. Or
I think it was DeHaven or something like that.
Right, yeah. I think we had like 3 or 4 first placers.
Yeah.
And you know what? Today I know I have it somewhere. I still have that Hartville News picture where me and you and somebody else, it might have been DeHaven, is holding up our trophies.
Yeah.
From that. Yeah.
Would have been Jessie Bible.
No, she was good, but
all right. Anyway.
Yeah.
So,
but I think that's where. So I did become your friend, and I think you proved yourself right there to me. And heck, I think by that summer we were spending the night at each other's houses and doing a bunch of things together. Yeah.
Yeah. You were truly assigned to be my friend, and
I was assigned. And
it was absolutely against your will.
And God had a plan.
That's so right.
Right. God had a plan.
Well, I'll tell you this. I needed you, Ro. I look back on it, and I needed you. And I don't know that you knew that you needed me, but I know that along our lives, we both have needed each other. And we've been able to be who we become and who we are because of our relationship back in those days. Like,
yeah,
we were pretty much inseparable. I remember stickball. Yeah. I remember, I think that might have been, I don't know if that was the summer of stickball, maybe the next one or something, but I remember being over there with George Valverde, and he could crush.
Yeah, that would have been 2 years. That would have been like 7th grade.
Yeah.
Because we play stickball. We play stickball in the back lot by Dre Anderson's and where Jolie Bourne's dance studio was in that back lot.
And your back.
We'd come over or we'd do it at my house the next year, and that's when we had Valverde and his little brother who loved the Montreal Expos. Do you remember that?
Chris Ross for the Montreal Expos.
And he would sit up there on the ladder, and he wouldn't play, but he would commentate. He would say, Doug McCloy. He said, 1 home run in the last 10 years for the Expos.
Oh, yes, it was for the Expos. Oh, Lord. That's back in the days. So for people that are watching, back in the days, we used to be able to ride mopeds. We used to be able to ride bikes. We used to be able to go to each other's houses without helmets. We'd play stickball in the street, sort of. It's just a whole different life, a whole different game back then.
Yeah, moped's not a big deal right now. I remember getting a moped. Everybody had a moped back then. Everybody. Right. Nobody really has one. They don't care.
Why is it? Why are there not mopeds? They're such efficient, like green. They're green too, in a sense. They're low energy, low gas. Why do not people have more mopeds? Is it a danger?
I think parents are more scared to let their kids run around. I mean, we were 14 years old running around Hartville getting chased by the cops because we had these illegal mopeds that didn't have pedals.
You did. You did.
Yes, I had one.
I had the Honda PA50, which had pedals.
Ah, yes.
You had the Honda Express, which was the illegal one. You and Anderson.
No, Anderson had a Tomas.
Oh, he had a Tomas?
His was legal. Mine was illegal. Jeff Vaughn was the first one to have that red moped, red Honda Express. Jim Clark had a Honda Express.
Yeah, all illegal. You guys could go like 32 miles an hour.
Yes. Yeah. And then I let you borrow it one night.
Hold on, before we get there, Matt Marvin said we used to drink from the hose because we're gonna apples off the tree. Lancer says he had a moped.
Yes.
Those were really the day. Yeah, Parslow. There was a
Moped Mafia.
It really was.
It was. Remember, hey, who remembers Parisius? Parisi's on here. His was always breaking down, and he literally had to hold onto our shoulders at pulling his moped half the time.
Yeah. Oh, dude. We kind of moved from bicycles to mopeds.
Yeah.
And then finally to cars.
Yeah.
And Vaughn was like the first one to have a car, too.
Yeah.
Wow.
The lemons.
There's my mom, son 1 and son 2.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah, so that story about the moped, this is one we do have to bring up because it probably isn't in the book. But I'm coming home from somewhere.
Crossing my arms.
It's like dusk or dawn. It's like duskish, I think. It's kind of later.
No, see, your story's already wrong because it was the night, and you're trying to make it up right now as you go. So
I'm really not. I'm just trying to put it the time of day. I remember clear as day, Ro. I'm riding your moped, and I don't know why I had yours. Why was I?
Because it was faster, it was better. And I don't know did you even have one at the time?
I may not have one.
Yeah.
I may not have got mine yet. I'm driving that thing, and I'm sure as day, a cat or a dog ran out underneath the tire. He basically, the front tire missed, and he went underneath where the motor was, and I did a big bump, and then boom, down the ditch. And I know that you still don't think you believe me, maybe, but there was a long time you really didn't believe that I hit a dog or animal, did you?
Yeah. We were having a little like bump, like one of those about some females in our class that we were fond of, and you were out, and I took it as I'm reading Lancer's comment.
Yeah.
I took it as you were mad at me and threw that thing in the ditch, but you did come in all scraped up. So if you did stage it, it was a good stage.
Yeah. It was a dark time for me.
Yeah.
It was a dark time. So we got past that, fortunately.
Yeah.
I remember, speaking of my mom, right? I do remember, I don't know if we want to talk about this one, but I do remember an incident with Mom.
I wrote that down, actually.
You wrote it down?
Yes.
That's part of my story. It's when the dark.
Well, this is kind of a good lead up to see where we've come, right?
That's
How
right.
far we've come, what we used to do.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Did you want to start it, or I kind of remember almost all of it? So
I think you remember it better than I do. I just remember. I don't remember. I remember being at the house, being cold, and wanting to get in my house.
Right. So it was, I don't know, we might have been seniors, I think. And it was the winter homecoming. We didn't have dates because we were too cool.
Right.
We thought we'd go stag. Right.
Yeah.
And so we went to your sister's house to play cards beforehand and get ready. And we were playing cards and drinking our J. Rogers or whatever that was.
It was J. Rogers.
J. Rogers, right? J. Roger or whatever.
And we're like 18. We're like 18.
Yeah. Not even that.
Not even 17.
Almost. Yeah. And we just thought that how many bottles should we get? Because one's certainly not enough, right? So we think, oh yeah, we're 17. We can drink a lot. We're gonna drink. We're gonna have one for me, one for you, one before the dance.
Yeah, because you got to get some hype on.
Right. And then 2 to crack open on the ladies when we get to the after party, right? So I know it's so embarrassing, but this does show how far we've come. And I think she knows the story. So anyway, we have one. We go to somebody's house. We take some pictures. Those pictures are floating around somewhere. We were with a bunch of other girls that went solo.
Right.
You were actually on the court.
I was.
You were on the court.
Yeah, I think I was.
Because you came to me during the dance and kept saying, hey, is my tie straight? Is my tie straight? And you were all paranoid that your tie wasn't straight. And I said, it's straight. It's straight. So you go into the picture for all the homecoming court and you're like, you're asking McClay, is it straight? Is it straight? Well, the picture comes out and that tie is like sideways.
Sideways.
So anybody needs to look at that winter homecoming picture. McCloy's tie is sideways in the.
Hey, if anybody out there's got that picture, you got to send it to us. Put it in the comments.
All right. So at any rate, we leave the party, and I don't even know why we should not have been driving, obviously.
No.
We were going to the after party at, I don't know, Red Roof Inn with all the friends. And this is before the days of GPS where you could just put it in it. And before the days of we really knew where we were going, especially when we were sober, and you're driving and you have no idea where to go. You take us downtown Canton in some, I don't know where they do snuff films. It was bad.
I remember that part. Like, we don't know where we're at.
I was actually scared. And so we start heading back. We finally got to 43, I think, and started driving south now.
Yeah.
And okay, now we can find out where we go. And then you're like, I'm going to start driving. And it was a stick shift, and I'd hardly ever driven a stick shift. And you were in the side seat. You do your thing out the window, or it made me stop and then do your thing.
Yeah.
And then you start talking some gibberish that I don't even know.
No,
so I'm like, that's it. We're skipping the part. I'm taking you home. So we pull into your house, and it is freezing out. All right. Right. It's, I don't know what it's January, this middle of December. It's freezing.
It's icy, I think.
Icy. We're trying to get in the door. You have like 17 keys on your key ring, and we're trying to get in your door at your house. And we're trying it. I said, give me that. I'm trying it. All of a sudden, and all of a sudden you go, you just fall. Your feet slide out from underneath you on the ice, and you face plant on the ice. I help you up. You're all nicked up, and that's when you start going boom, boom, boom. Mom! Boom, 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 Mom! She comes to the door at some ungodly hour, and she goes, what is going on? And I said, he's had a little too much. So we go in and take care of the thing, and and your mom was she showed us grace the next day. Not a lot, but she did show us.
Yeah, that's good. That's a great mom.
That's the mom
to talk to.
Yeah.
She did.
So don't do that. Kids that are listening.
Yeah, don't do that one.
Yeah.
Part of my, like, when I do write a book, or when I put this together for a book, it's going to be called Impossible Without God.
Yeah.
Because, like, for me to be alive, even to be out of jail, like, not have some kind of record, it's impossible if God didn't have a plan for me.
Oh, I have many other stories that prove that, right?
There's a lot to prove that.
We won't share them, but here's the ironic thing about that is that I remember you when we were growing up, and this was probably around that 7th, 8th, I don't know, 9th grade years.
Yeah.
When we would talk, I remember having discussions about what happens after you die, and remember you specifically saying, man, when you're dead as a doornail.
Yeah.
You're under that dirt, and you don't know nothing. You're nothing. There's no soul. There's no nothing. You're dead as a doornail. You would say that.
Oh, I was.
Remember that?
I remember having an adamant argument with Jim Clark at my house, saying that if you believe in God, then you believe in Zeus and Aphrodite and all that Greek stuff. I mean, how is there going to be one? I was totally there. I was atheist.
Mm-hmm.
I was not. I was a nodder.
A nodder.
Yeah, not a God.
Oh,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward. We graduate. Yeah. I go to Bowling Green. You go to Action U. We kind of diverge a little bit.
I showed up at Bowling Green a few times. Yep.
Got some Pete stories. I don't know if Peterson's watching, but there's some
Pete
stories. There's one like Ohio State, when Ohio State happened. But tell like, for anybody who's watching, like, from Jamaica, what's your connect to Jamaica then? Like, where did we get to get to the Jamaica side? Like, when did you first come? Why did you come?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You're asking me. I didn't know if you were saying with people. Okay. So It was after college. You're out of, or you're just finishing, I think, dental school.
Optometry.
Or not dental school. I'm sorry, optometry school.
Yeah.
Or you had just finished, and you had this plan to, you know, take over this guy's office down there. And I was living with Dickie Carroll in Canton, finishing up school because I had went into the Marine Corps, and now I've been working at a country club and going to school full time just to finish it, right? And I had just finished it. I had just finished my semester, and I said, I'm taking 2 weeks or a week and I'm going to Jamaica. And you set it up, and I went down there, and that's the first time. And I think that was that January of '96, somewhere around there?
Yeah, that'd be right.
Yeah, January of '96.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when we came back, we were like, hey, I'm going to open up my office. I need, I don't know what you call it, an optician.
Yeah.
I need someone to run my office, do the fittings. And I'm like, dude, I'm there. And I asked a bunch of people, and they're like, dude, you're 25, do it. You know, you have no responsibilities whatsoever. Just do it. And then I get this email that you had to see about a girl. And
is that, you know, that's a great part of it, because I do remember I was at Vista, and we were talking about that stuff, about you just coming down and like running the show there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had finished school. I was working as a server at a country club, or at Mountain Jacks. I was working as a server at Mountain Jacks at that time, and trying to figure out what I was going to do. You know, I had the work career ahead of me, and I thought, man, why don't you do that? Why not? Jamaica, man.
Crazy.
So, yeah, but it worked
out.
out.
Thank God he sent Rhonda to me to save the both of us then.
Yes, man.
I don't know how that one would have turned out.
Wow.
We'd have both been down there together.
Our guardian angel. Thank you, Rhonda.
Yeah, exactly.
Our lives.
Well, you were in our wedding. We had a great wedding. I mean, some of the family would remember you epically as the doing the chicken dance, or there was some. That was a great wedding.
Well, let's back up 5 days. Actually, 4 days. Let's back up 4 days, because 4 days earlier I got married.
Oh, that's right. You got married down in.
I got married to Heather Mays, who, and I think about this often, and every now and then I'll say this to her, and she's in the other room watching. I'm like, I married Heather Mays, my junior year physiology lab partner. That is crazy.
It really is.
10 years after high school. So we get together, we meet up at a lake football game, and we start going out, and, you know, we didn't have to go through the, who are you? Who are your friends? What is your family like? What's your background? We'd already known all that stuff. In fact, I've known it since 7th grade.
Right.
So we got married July 8th, 1997. On Trunk Bay in St. John's, Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
And our families were there. Now you're getting married on July 12th, Saturday.
Right.
And the reason that we got married down there is because her family had already had a family vacation down there, and I was tagging along. And when we decided to do it on her mom actually made the idea, and we were like, hey, yeah, let's do this. And we have a beautiful video of it. And one of her friends came down and videoed it. And we had a full pastor. I picked him up in the pickup truck, and he sat in the back from his video store, picked him up in the pickup truck. When we drove to the beach, and he's sitting in the bed of the truck on a bench, and took him to the beach, had a beautiful wedding. But I had to leave early because I was in your wedding. And that is one of the things that Heather and I still talk about to this day, how she stayed to finish the vacation, and I left, and I should have just dragged her up. However, she didn't really know you at the time. She didn't know many people, and she kind of felt that she would not know many people and just sit there. But so I flew up. I flew in. That's Friday, I think, and then we went out to Tiffin and had your your reception dinner and everything, and then that was a great night. But she got home that night, and I was feeling like the heat, not from her, but just internal pressure to drive the 2 hours home. right?
You remember that?
Yeah. So I kind of left early, and I never felt not being happy with me, that I was taking off early. But I do want to say something about that. So
Say it.
a couple months, well, the next month we had our reception at and we had a tent outside of Heather's mom and dad's backyard.
Mhm.
And you and Rhonda obviously were there, invited, and you were there.
Mhm.
And it was starting to wean out. I mean, there was very few people there. And at one time I remember talking with somebody, talking with my brother-in-law, and turning around. And I remember looking, and there was hardly anybody there. I turn around, and you and Rhonda are still there. You're still there. And I looked at you and I said, "What are you doing? You're still here." And you're like, "Ro, this is your day. This is your time. We're here.
Yeah.
We're here for you."
Right.
And and I don't know if you guys were you guys Christians then?
Yeah.
Yes. You were showing me right there.
That's
You
a
were
good
showing me what it meant to serve right there. And I thought about that.
Hmm.
I think about that all the time. How I left yours early, yet you stayed at mine. And so I wanted to thank you for that. I don't know if I've ever mentioned that to you. So
No,
thank you very much.
That's news. That's good news.
Yeah.
I love that because
Mhm.
it's something that we've been talking about with a couple of my other friends here. Is like, one guy, he's kind of swayed around in his faith and his life, and finally got to the point to say, dude, you can tell me anything you want. I mean, you can talk all you want about the Lord. You can talk all about Jesus too. But until you start to look like him, you start to act like it, like until your actions match with what you're saying, you're just, kind of a fraud,
Yeah. Amen. Right.
And we got a lot of that in the faith worlds. But that what you're talking about, I love that. I would never know that. Never remember. That's why I love this part of the show, is because stuff comes out that I didn't know that one, but I do remember staying. I do remember that part. But I do remember at that point, Rhonda and I were really growing in our faith, and I started to begin to know what love really is. Like love when we were young wasn't really love. That was more like lust. But once God kind of came into my life, I began to know that love is like being able to treat someone else the way you'd want to be treated. You actually want to do things for other people rather than being so self-serving for yourself.
Yep.
So. And I think it's an important part in this day of, we should kind of go to this space a little bit just on some of the stuff that's out there, because I think one of the things that popped up was like, there's little rumors that you got kicked off of Facebook because of your thing or whatever, and I know even recently you've just kind of taken a pause from the media game. And, so everybody knows you didn't get kicked off of Facebook, you got hacked or something, right?
I got hacked. I logged on one day and it said, "Hey, did you log in from Vietnam? Somebody's logged into your account from Vietnam. Did you do that?" And I clicked no, and went on my way and doing some things. And then I think the next time I got on, I don't know when it was, maybe the same day, later in the day, it said some Vietnamese name like Ha Tong Wong has accepted your friend request. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't do that. Well, I did like one or two more clicks, and all of a sudden, whoop, whoop, blue screen of death. Your account is disabled. So that was the end of that. And recently I've logged back on to get to it. And they said, due to the COVID, we're taking much longer than normal to verify accounts, blah, 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 blah. So, but that's been almost a month, I think. Yeah. Yeah. And so that's why I haven't been on. I missed you guys. I missed talking with you guys, but I did get off Twitter also. I just stopped reading comments and everything because it's just a lot of, I just was getting sick of the hate. And, we just have to learn that and remember that we're sinners too, right? And that was the first thing I want to bring that up too, is that when you kept inviting me to a Promise Keepers event back in 98, 99, 2000, and I think like 2 or 3 had went by and I kept blowing you off. Yeah. And if some of those don't remember, Promise Keepers was started by one of the founders was Coach Bill McCartney of the Colorado college football team, and they would fill stadiums with men, right? And they would hear stories and sermons, and many men gave their life to Christ during that time.
Mhm.
And you kept inviting me to one of these things, and I kept blowing you off. And finally, I capitulated, and I said, "Okay, I'll go." And I think it was in Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we were there Friday night, and at the time I was like, "Why do I need God?" Not that I didn't believe in God. I was just like, "Why do I need God?" I mean, I got a great wife. I got a good house. We got good jobs now.
Yeah.
It's like everything's great. I
Right.
I thought God was for people who, are really down in the dumps and they got to cling to something, And so that's kind of how I went into it. But you're my real good friend, best friend, and so I was gonna go there and be with you.
Yeah.
Well, Friday night was, and I tell this story to my small groups all the time, is that one of the leaders was speaking, and he said, "Okay, right now I want you to think about one word to put on your tombstone. One word."
Mm-hmm.
And then what I want you to do is share it in two other people that are sitting next to you. I said, "Okay." So me, you, and some other gentlemen got together, and they go, "Okay, Ro, you go first." And I was like, "Okay, I got my word. My word is fun. Ro is fun. He likes to laugh and joke, and
Totally remember that.
and he likes that. He's the life of the party, and everybody loves to be around him. Yada yada yada. Well, I think so. At any rate,
yeah.
And
it
so
was really true at that time. It's still true to this day. It's just great to be around.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Around, but
thank you. Love the laugh and joke. Love the laugh and joke. So I said, fun is my word. And so you and the guy both looked at me and said, "It's good. It's good." So, okay. And both of you had the same word. And that word was faithful. And I went,
Hey.
Faithful. Wow. That's better than mine. That word is better than mine. A lot better. And so the weekend went on, and we are just having a great time. And then I remember the moment on Sunday where it was like, well, what are you going to do? And I realized that I was a sinner, right? And that's the first realization. Because at the time, I'm not killing anybody.
Yeah.
I'm not lying to most people. I'm not cheating on my wife. Well, I was watching porn a lot, and that is cheating on your wife. And but I wasn't hurting anybody and all this stuff. And so I didn't do it. But that weekend I realized, man, I am doing some wrong things. I'm doing some bad things. And I realized that there was a God that loved me.
Yeah.
And so I did. I gave my life to Jesus that day. And that was in June of 2000. And you gave me this Bible as a gift, and you wrote in it. There you go. And if you can read that.
Remain in me, and I'll remain in you. Enjoy the fruit
of the Spirit.
Yep.
And the thing is that one of the dogs got it through the years.
Yeah. Love that.
And I had it rebound.
Yes.
Because it was that important to me. And the rebinding cost probably 5 times more than the Bible actually.
Exactly.
But
the Bible's priceless, isn't it?
It is priceless. And I've kept that. So without you, I wouldn't be talking like this today. So, we talk about people who have prayed for you and gone before you and cleared the path before you. And you're one of those guys, besides my grandmother but you were the reason. And I want to fast forward just from that day to the following year. I went out to, and we talk about paying it forward. I went out to Montana, and my son was 1 year old. And Heather and I went out there for a family reunion. And we stayed with my second cousin, who rarely met growing up, and her husband, who had just moved into a home, split level home. And he was just great. His name is Fish. Well, his name's Jerry, but people call him Fish, Jerry Fisher.
Okay.
And he made this beautiful antler art that was his work, beautiful antler art in his garage. And he was a sculptor. And he had that picture, that prominent picture of Jesus in his garage, but he referred to it as God, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so one day he was always talking. I mean, this is Montana. It's Bozeman, Montana. It's beautiful country. It's God's country, right?
Right.
And it's beautiful. And the whole week he's talking about God and all this stuff. And I was like, so finally halfway through, I'm like, so where do you go to church? And he's like, oh man, I don't go to church. I mean, look at all this. Look at this landscape. This is my church. Look at this. This is great. I said, so what do you think about Jesus? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, well, Bible says that Jesus is God. And he said that, yada, yada, yada. And I start talking with him about it. He's like, oh, okay. Well, we just kind of, went on the conversations, and we had a great time that week, stayed 10 days.
Yeah.
They didn't, we stayed at their house, and they were very helpful, and just great servants. Well, anyway, we go back to Ohio, and we went to Heather and I want to put together a care basket for him and the family, and they had a couple kids at the time. So we put together a Packers jersey. They're from Wisconsin, and something for Maddie, who's now Christian and married. And I put a Bible in there, an NIV Bible. And I wrote in there 2 Timothy 3:16, which reads, all scripture is God breathed, right?
Yeah. Useful for teaching, correcting, rebuking, all that.
Yeah. So 10 years later, I go back there I'll skip what I know in between, because he caught fire with that word. He did. And he was like, oh my gosh, I got to start sharing this with my family and my mom. And he kind of was like really pushing him, like really in their face about it. I kind of had to tell him, kind of back down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I visited him in 2012 when I went out there for a friend of mine was getting married in the area. So I went out there and I visited him. And I opened up his Bible. And Doug, I want to tell you that almost every page was written up like that.
Jeez. That's like Holy Ghost bump business,
I was flabbergasted, but that's the power of the word.
It is.
And I wasn't like teaching him anything to that. That was what he was getting from that. And so how many people that he's, impacted. And
right.
his daughter's on Facebook, and she's just beautiful. She's married, and she's a sister in Christ, and and it just goes on and on. So yeah, the little steps, the little ripple effects are out there.
That's just sweet. See, I didn't know that either. I love that. That's just love. I mean, that's the treating people the way you want to be treated. Once you get the gift, once you get the insight, once you get the knowledge, once you know the truth, the light, and the way, it's just almost impossible not to share it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's another part of why I do the show, because I felt like I was like, I don't need to do the book. I don't need to write anything down.
Yeah.
God knows it all. And I really remember having a moment with like the Holy Spirit kind of whispering and me going, well, what? You don't want to tell anybody about it? Like, you just want to keep it all to yourself? Like, you got Facebook, you do Facebook post about your eye offices, you do things about surgery, but you can't go tell people about what we're doing. And I just remember and he wasn't chastising me like that, but that's kind of how I felt like, oh my golly, I've got all this stuff that's just impossible without God, and not letting the light shine about it. So I love that part. We're gonna relax it back. Cindy Earle, first two crushes.
Cindy, you're too kind.
This is so true.
Thank you.
She was great. I love
yes.
her. That's fun, man. So the Lake High School game, like, you're still back there. You're impacting your city. I know that. I mean,
yeah.
You do a lot of marriage groups. You do ABFs. You do all kinds of stuff for a lot of people. That
Heather and I we were in a marriage class, and that's one of the things that we also did together, Doug, was we went to an I Still Do conference.
Yep.
We saw Doug Shook there. Yep. And I have this funny story about Shook that Dave Schultz told me. Shook was always like, he was the golf coach, right? And he'd be that facetious kind of guy, kind of telling sarcastic stuff, and he'd talk in that he talked to you in that scratchy voice of his, right?
Yeah.
You'd have like a 3-incher and he'd go, put it close, Ro, something like that.
Right.
On the golf course. One day, Schultz is walking down the hallway of the school somewhere, and he's got a marijuana thing, little, we'll call them joints, for whatever, right? Put it in his pocket. And I don't know, this is true story, could be true. This is what Schultz told me. Shook came up to him, they were talking, and he goes, "Hey, Schultzy, your cigarette's hanging out." But Shook was so cool, and we saw him there, and I did not know at the time that he was a Christian, but and I don't know if he was a Christian while we were going to school, but he was there with his wife. And so shortly after, exactly, Rhonda, absolutely. And so shortly after, we started teaching that same class, and that was 2005, 2006 at Northside Christian Church in Wadsworth. And we've always looked at it as doing, we do oil changes for our car, we do maintenance in our vocation, we take CE courses, we do all this stuff, but we don't take any courses on what marriage is like, right? And that's the way we always treated it. So we taught this course, and not that we were the best at it, we just took material and but it's definitely helped us throughout the years. And we would go to various, we go to Gary Chapman and things that, 5 love languages, and we do these things, and we would just consider it regular maintenance on our marriage.
Yeah.
That we could fall back on. And, I can, not all was roses. I can remember one time where she was literally very mad at me, and she sat in the corner while I taught the course while this fume was going on.
Oh,
but
that's so rough.
God got us through that too.
Right.
And so, and we have a great relationship. It gets better every year. And I just love her so much because I'm just so blessed that I have a wife that is committed to the relationship as I am. And that is a blessing. And, because I know that some spouses don't have that. And, we pray for that tonight, that if you're watching this, that you can get with God and get with your spouse and, do those things that strengthen your marriage and not pull them apart. Because it's a covenant, right? Not a contract.
Yeah. I love that part about the maintenance too. Like, it's like, okay, I just bought a marriage. Where's the manual?
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to drive this new car, and then at 3,000 miles, it needs an oil change.
Yeah.
How do I change the oil in my marriage? Big stuff. Yeah. Love it. Erica Hop, telling me you're great, Ro.
Well, thanks.
All the best in your marriage.
You. She's watching in the other room here.
We were talking, Erica, the other night when we were kind of warming up for this thing about Chris's look there. Like, I really like the salt and pepper he's got going on. He's got the hair's flowing and beard's growing. And, I was going to bring this one up. Like, tell us a little bit about your faith and your health, because you really helped me here lately. And I know that there's some story there too. Isn't there?
Yeah, there is. So,
which is why you look so good too. I'm just trying to bring on to why you look so good too.
I like the CrossFit. It's fun. Got my little CrossFit community, and we have great time there. Like it, the workouts stink, but you do them and you feel good afterwards. But really got into health. I've always been an athlete, and I've always got into health pretty much 15 years ago. Where Heather and I were actually living at the time in this little bungalow loft after we got married, before we moved to Medina. The landlord, his mom was really into nutrition and vitamins, and so they had a little vitamin store, and so that was kind of the first thing into nutrition. But in 2007, I got diagnosed with prostate cancer. I was 35, 36 at the time, and I was my urologist still says to this day I'm the youngest person ever to get diagnosed with prostate cancer in his career.
Yeah, I remember hearing.
And so they took a biopsy, and the options were radiation and a bunch of other stuff. He goes, but at your age, you just want to take it out. Yeah. Just take out the prostate. You don't need it. So I got it taken out in 2007. while we were waiting for surgery, I can remember some of the words that the doctor, we went to the Cleveland Clinic and Dr. Eric Klein did it. And he's like, oh, I said, well, when do we do the surgery? And Heather was sitting right there. And he said, well, I just happen to have a cancellation next week if you wanted to do it next week. And I'm like, I looked at Heather. I said, we had vacation planned for the following week. And I looked at her and I was like, well, we kind of have vacation. And he goes, no, go on vacation. I go, it's not going to matter. I mean, it's okay. He goes, listen, if we can't cure you in a month, we won't be able to.
Ooh.
And I was, yeah, isn't that sentence kind of one of those whoa sentences? Yeah. And so, I had the surgery in 2007, and then let's fast forward. There's this blood number called a PSA, and I had to get it taken every year, and it was 0. It should be 0. I don't have a prostate anymore, so it should be 0. But in 2012-ish, the number started reappearing. And so I was like, well, why is that? You don't have a prostate. Well, it's hard to get these little microscopic cells, all of them, I guess.
Right.
Or something's reproducing it. So the number kept going up and up and up. And it was just watch and wait, because prostate cancer is a very slow growing cancer. So got to the point where it was doubling every 6 months. And this was right around 2017, 18. And the urologist finally said, okay, it's time for you to start talking to a radiation oncologist, which I said, okay, I did. And I ended up going down to the Akron General every day for 2 months for 15 minutes of proton radiation.
Every day?
Every day. Half-hour drive, 15-minute procedure, go home. And not half the time, there was probably a handful of times where they'd call me halfway and say, the machine's broke, it's not working. You have to turn around.
That sounds like Jamaica.
It's called a linear accelerator, and it's a thing that goes around your body, and it fires photons and radiation just in that pelvic region where your prostate is. So I had to start taking hormone therapy too. Really messed me up my chest area, and got lethargy and some side effects.
Did you
but
grow
nothing near? Bruising. Nothing near chemo, problems or anything like that. But got done with that, and my number would go down, and it got down to almost nothing, and then it clicked back up, and then 6 months later it clicked back up again, and I'm like, but there's no other treatment to do except if it gets really bad, then the chemotherapy. And my doctor had actually given me a business card for a medical oncologist, the one who mixes up cocktails for you. No. And the weird thing is, Doug, is that I never had any symptoms. The only time I ever felt crappy was when I was getting treatment.
Yeah.
That's the only time. So it was, I got that card and I'm looking at it, and around the same time, this was last year, early last year, 2019, I started listening to Rich Roll podcast. And some of you can know Rich Roll. And he had this guy on there that was an animal activist. And he's like, hey, guys, I got James Aspey on today. He's an animal activist. Now, before you start turning off the podcast, just give him a listen. Hear him out. Just hear me out. Do it as a favor for me, because he's got a very interesting story. So I heard him out, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Well, the next day I listened to another podcast from Dr. Neil Bernard, who talked about the health benefits of a plant-based diet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh. Well, put those two and two together. I'm like, oh. So I went home that day. That was on a Tuesday. I went home that day and I told Heath, I think I'm going to go plant-based. And she goes like, oh, okay. That was like March 2nd of 2019, the last time I had a piece of meat, animal product. Last time I had a piece of meat. And a few days later, I was listening to another podcast that I found just by happenstance, because Heather and I were looking through our own podcasts, and we're like, what do you listen to? I listen to this. What do you listen? So we were sharing, and I found this one, and this guy named Chris Wark was on the podcast, and he wrote a book called, of all things, Chris Beat Cancer. And so I got the book, and I started doing his program. And it was a bunch of salads and raw veggies and making your own dressing and juice and with turmeric root and ginger root. And I was pretty religious about it every day doing it. I would spend 45 minutes a day juicing, and throughout the months, I kind of waned off it. I still do it to this day, but not as much.
Mm-hmm.
And in May, I got another blood test, and it creeped up again. This was May of 2019.
19, yeah.
And I was depressed for about, because I had been doing all these things.
Yeah.
And I was depressed. And so I decided, you know what, whatever, I'm just going to keep doing it, whatever. And I'm not as strict on the juicing or on the salads as I am, but I still don't eat meat. And so, but I was kind of looking forward to my yearly physical, my yearly blood test. And I got it last week.
Mm-hmm.
And my PSA went down. It
God.
actually went
down.
It went down.
Well, I think it stayed the same, but it actually went down.
It went down. Last year it was 0.15. This year it was below 0.1. And I've never had that happen. I've never had it go down. What's that?
That's statistically significant to me.
It is. Whatever you said. And and so I was stoked, and I was like, it just needed time. 2 months doing that program was not enough time.
Yeah.
And it just needed time. So 14 months later, my PSA went down, and I'm still plant-based. And then I picked up this book, The China Study, was talking about a bunch of stuff. And it's just all, so yes, guys, I'm a vegan. I don't eat eggs. I don't eat milk. Cow's milk is probably one of the worst products for you. Sorry if you're a dairy farmer out there. But yeah, but plant-based.
No milk, no cow cheese, no goat cheese, no animal kind of cheeses.
Nope, nothing.
And your PSAs have gone down.
Gone down. Yep.
You know, I was thinking about while you're telling the story is that it's interesting because this is kind of man's month, right? That like prostate cancer is a man's thing.
Yeah.
Like we're supposed to check for that.
Yeah.
Like what's the rule? Like give us a little man game on this.
So
I haven't checked my prostate.
So your PSA anywhere under 4 would be normal. Okay. 4.0. And then they measure an antigen in your blood. And so it's like nanograms per milliliter.
Check
Thank you, Cindy. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so anything under 4 is normal. Now, if it starts going to 3 and you get it checked and then it goes to 3.8 and your doctor will say, hey, let's start watching, right? To see how it's moving up. Because you can have a PSA of 100 and not have metastasis, but most people that give PSAs that high, they do have tumors.
So
right.
So what do I do as a guy? I always think of Moon River.
Yes. Yes. You should. They do the digital exam. Yeah. I still have to get one, even though I don't have. But they're feeling for something hard. It should be tissue, not rough, not oh my gosh, that was bumpy, right?
What age are you supposed to do that at, Ro?
What
age are you supposed to do that at if you're a guy? For you,
they used to, when I was, they said 40, but they bumped it back because they did a lot of preventive care, like a really aggressive preventive care 10, 15 years ago. And the studies come out and were showing that, it didn't really affect the mortality rates. So, and Cindy's piping in, yes, it does. It just makes so much sense. And so, one thing that Chris Wark said in his book was this, that he had colon cancer when he was 26, got a big tumor taken out, and he was going to have to go through 8 months of chemo. And he decided not to do it because he looked at what the medical industry was doing, and he had an uncle that was into nutrition, and they tried to serve him a bowl of chili as his first meal after surgery, and he didn't think that was right. Right. And so, and the doctor told him, you can eat anything you want, just as long as it doesn't weigh more than 12 pounds or 12 ounces or something like that, while you're healing. And he didn't think that was right either. So he was like, well, if I get on the chemo train, everybody's going to be cheering for me. And I know a lot of people out there have done that, and because your doctor has told you that, and, we pray for you too. But I would not choose that path, and I will not choose that path, whatever comes, because the people that I know that had chemo, they just end up having miserable existences and then end up dying anyway.
Yeah.
And so I took the route Chris Wark took, and their route was, I'm not going to get on the train where everybody's cheering for me, and I'm going to be a hero and go to battle this thing. And he doesn't like to use the term battle either. He didn't like to use the word beat, but that's what the publisher wanted to use as beat.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to work with it and do that preventive thing. Mm-hmm. And so he went into the forest with the sign that said, "Do not enter," because nobody's going to follow you in there. And everybody's going to look at you and go, "You're crazy. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
you know, no one's going to support you and cheer you on. And nobody did. Even his wife at first didn't do it. Mm-hmm. But 15 years later, he wrote the book, and he's thriving and thriving now. And so, we'll see. I'll go another year, take the blood test, God willing, it goes down. I think I'm doing it right, and I'm eating right, and I'm not putting a lot of hormones and, just a bunch of toxins into my body. It's trying the best I can. So there you go.
Well, I don't know if everybody even knows that story about you. So would you say that you're living with cancer? Is that your term, or what are you?
Yeah. So the PSA usually means you still have cancer cells hanging around. Okay. So I'm living with it. I don't show symptoms of it, except that I had my prostate removed, and I don't, those functions are still good. You can read about what happens when a man gets his prostate removed out there. I won't repeat them here. But yes. And so you are living with it, but it's more of the specter of it, which is almost as bad. I don't know. You think about it a lot. That you have this inside of you, most people, I'd say a lot of people, that's not even on their mind. I don't have cancer. I'm good. Right.
Right. Once you have it, I can't imagine you wouldn't think, I would think about it a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I do, especially time around the blood numbers, and I was thinking about a lot, but I just have to, I learned to just God will give me the time that he's going to give me. Right. Yeah. And we're charged with doing what we can with it.
Yeah. Huh. So for all of us out there who have not had the prostate exam or had our blood work done for PSA, and that would be everybody in our class, everybody from the lake who watches.
Yeah.
Anybody that's any guy that's over 40, any wife that has a husband that's 40 or over should be pushing us to go get that checked out.
Yeah. So, because it can metastasize. I haven't got there yet. And my prostate didn't, and who knows? One thing I said to the doctor back in 2007 was, we're going over the options before I had it removed. I'm like, "Doc, listen, I don't have any symptoms. What is this?" He's like, "Chris, you hit the lottery." I mean, I go, "If I got it, how many other guys got it?" He's like, "Not many." And I just I found that hard to take. Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, so what if I just don't do anything? And, and then when I have symptoms when I'm 51, and I'm 51 right now, I remember saying this, and then I get it. Then I get treatment. He's like, "Well, that's a great plan, Chris. Just that I don't think you'd be around at 51. I'm like,
well,
okay, another one of those whoa sentences to you.
Yeah, that's heavy.
So, and we had it taken out. Would I recommend that now for a 36-year-old? Gosh, I'd really try the nutrition first before doing that. If I had to do it all over again, I'd really, since it's so slow growing, do the nutrition and the holistic healing first, right? Before you take drastic measures and, and do that. I'm not going to get into the medical industry and
I think
all that stuff, how to make money.
Heather says you should have a praying wife too. I think it's be a good one.
Yes, power of a praying wife. Yes, she prays for me every day.
Yeah,
like I said, I have a wonderful, God-fearing spouse, which is a blessing.
Well, so before we go, we got to talk about one thing.
Oh boy!
And then you got to talk about something else.
Okay.
And we're extending the show anyway because it took us so long to get on the show.
Yeah.
We gotta just get this thing. But I named this one the Row and Dough.
All right.
So you got to give us a little story on the Dough McClure.
Wow. Okay. So
if Dorothy's still watching,
you have many nicknames growing up.
Yeah.
You had, and it was always you for some reason. It started in Surace's class.
Yes.
When you got these are the students that will be in this class here, and it was not Douglas McCloy, it was Douglas. And so Surace's for the rest of his existence calls you Douglas.
Yes.
And then later that year, or it might have been the next year, I can't remember, you were standing in line for the lunch lady, and you had the check, all right, to give her for the new punch card. Whoever remembers the punch card, the lunch punch cards at Lake.
Yeah.
And she's writing out your punch card, and she's like, "What's your name?" You said, "Doug McCloy." And she goes, "Doug McClure?" And you're like, "No, Doug McCloy. McCloy. How do you spell that? DOGMCCLOY. McCloy." Okay. The card comes back. I'm standing right there. Literally, I'm standing right there. DOUGHMCCLOR.
Yes.
Doe McClure. And
That's
so I know that was the first existence. And every now and then you'll bring up another one and say, "Ro, I just got another calling me Doe." Yeah. And I'm like, there's no way. That's got to be the only person. And throughout the 35 years that 38 years or something like that, you've probably had what, 5, 6, 7 people,
right?
Go with the dough. And I just remember one time we're Doe McClure, there it is. One time we were texting, and I just said to you, "Listen, Doug, promise me." After you told me another one of these, I was at the pharmacy or something like that, and somebody called me Doe. And I'm like, "You have to promise me that on your tombstone, you were going to put Doe McClure, 1968 dash, whatever that is."
Right.
And then you reply, "Doe McClure, he was a real softie."
Exactly.
And I replied, "On the other side of the cemetery, here lie the 8 people who couldn't spell Doug."
Exactly.
I mean, how hard is it? So you're going to promise me that one. You are a real softie.
It's funny. It went back to the tombstone because we were talking about the tombstone in the early at Promise Keepers. Fun, Chris.
Full circle. Full circle.
He was a real softie.
Yeah.
Oh my. So, wow. Well, that's what I had to bring that one up.
Yeah.
We're pushing the hour now.
That went fast.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the hour goes by like nothing, honestly.
Yeah.
And just so you know, my praying wife absolutely agrees with your praying wife that they're the power of being faithful. We both have amazing wives. I mean, God is really, 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 really good to us.
Yep.
Because He helped us get complete by bringing us women of faith. Proverbs 31 women.
Amen.
So I always ask everybody when we're on the show, when we get down to the end, like, you got something to share? You got something to say? Like this has been fun, Ro. I've loved this time. I really have. I feel like, and I've said before, I think I want to do like a Ro and Doe show, like on Monday nights or Saturdays.
Stories.
Bring some guests in, even if we did
some guests in. Bring Scott in.
Yeah.
We got some stories.
Yeah.
Eddie Scissorhands.
We could do like a little lake game. I mean, like a little friends and folly there. There's Rhonda. She's telling me. Remember I told you about the golf balls?
The golf balls. Throwing the golf balls at people while we're driving.
Oh wait, no, I didn't talk about that one. I was talking about the name on the golf ball. Her grandma. We laughed so hard because now there's 8 in that cemetery because we had grandma for the Doe McClure. You know what? I should have pulled it out, but I have it on a blanket on my golf.
Doe McClure.
Doe, just Doe, D-O-U-G-H.
Doe.
But anyway, leaving the go. Tell us something, Ro. Bring everybody something that's on your heart or that's on your mind or that is strong. I think we could go into I think we could do a whole other show on where we are as a nation and the hating and the loving and the words and all that. But tell us.
I don't know. I was thinking about this. Ding, 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 dong.
Wow.
There you go.
You were thinking about
Ding dong. I was thinking about this, and I wrote down one more thing. And what really matters is, your family, your friends, your God, right? Gail Sayers said, "I am third," which means he wrote a book saying, God is first, my friends are second, and I am third, right?
Yeah.
And if we could do that in that order, we'd have a much better world, right?
Yeah.
But really, what puts things all the way to the end of our lives, because I had the privilege of being a deacon at Northside, and one of the tasks we would do is we would deliver communion to the people who couldn't come to church that week, and there were many that couldn't come for a long time, or some people that were in rehabilitation that just had a stroke and they were in rehab. So I would take these, and I remember Marna Paris, just a ball of sunshine, 70 some years old. Just, I might get out of here this week, yada, yada, yada. And her condition was very bad, but she was such a ball of sunshine, and she was great. Getting that email from our minister leader saying that Marna Paris had passed away was like, what? I was just there 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that really hit me. And then as the 3 years went on, I did this, you saw more and more people pass away. And I can remember a gentleman named John. I'd only given him communion once. And I went to visit him. He had prostate cancer, and he was hoping to rehab and get out of there. And I gave him communion on Sunday, and we got the email Friday that he had passed away. And I was just like, wow, I was the last one to give him the bread and the juice. And it really puts things into perspective for you on that. And one of the things that many people may not know, that my church family knows, is that somehow I turned into a crier. I don't know how that came about. I know that we've done that a couple times back in the day. Hugs and stuff. And, I do that. And I can thank also Leslie Bauer, if she's out there. I was, after graduating, we were going around hugging and saying congratulations, and I was fine until I got to Leslie Bauer. And I think this is who started it all. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, Leslie and I embraced, and we just started bawling. I don't know, maybe because I'd known her since first or second grade.
Yeah.
But throughout the years, I start telling stories, and I start getting choked up.
Yeah. But that's good. That's what love is, I think. That's love expressed when it just takes over you.
Yeah. So if I'm ever out and about and I'm telling you a story, a significance, or whatever, if I start crying, just give me some space. And if I pause, just know that I haven't stopped. That something's coming. Okay.
Oh, wow, she's actually on there, Ro. Leslie Bauer's actually watching.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of contagious, I guess.
Isn't that crazy though? Like, what is she doing on there? I love that.
Yeah. And Leslie, hey girl.
Do you see that?
Yeah.
That's wild. See, I guess that's social media maybe, but that's still impossible without God, in my opinion. Like, what are the odds of her watching? I mean, I get it,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a good friend of ours, Amber Mead, touching her, encouraging her, and blessing her.
Amen.
Yeah. Amen.
That's what I got for now.
Well, Ro, you're a special man. I mean, there's a lot of people that will say that about you. I know that one thing I'm really thankful for, especially just with this whole show thing, is us getting back together. It's like I was telling Ryan that I don't know why I don't talk to Ro all the time. Like I need to see him more. I mean, I need to
right.
Like
I gotta get to the Nuga.
Huh?
I gotta get to the Nuga. I keep saying I'm gonna go to the Nuga.
You need to come. We're preparing a place for you to come, Ro. We're preparing a place. So I need to tell you that.
Okay.
Look at this. Leslie Bauer says, I have no idea how I got on here. God just winked.
Amen. Do you remember that time, Leslie? Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's the thing, Leslie. You need to let us know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure nobody just created her profile and put her up here. You know? Oh my. Yeah. So yeah, you know, the opportunity to have you lead me in an ABF or be with me in a marriage you know, thing. I mean, I just think about how many people have been gifted to have you around and to have Heather with you. And you know, oh gosh, here she goes. She says she remembers like it was yesterday.
We'll do it again. Let's
Yeah.
do it again.
Do we have a reunion someday coming up?
Ellen, come on, Todd, Gravis, Ellen and Kim, come on, let's do it.
Hey, maybe we should have like a Zoom one or something. I don't know, or do something. But Ro, special dude.
Okay.
Appreciate you. And
Thanks for having me.
I think that well, I know this for my story is I wouldn't have my story if I didn't have you. There's no question about it. And before we even knew who God was, He was working on our behalf. You know, so I think for anybody and any of us out there, whether we're in faith or not in faith, I mean, I think people need to give Him a try, because there's just nothing. I mean, there's nothing like this kind of stuff that's happening right here. I mean, what I love about Him is He's unexplainable in a sense. You know, like you can't make sense of Him, but God knows He'll make you cry. You know, because the Holy Spirit inside of us just warms our heart over. So, wishing the best on you. You know, we're going to be back together on this thing. We're going to do something different. I just know there's something else we need to do. The row and the dough. Like what people didn't get on this one is the stuff, how crazy funny you are. Like if we could just go on and do some of the satirical or the
deadpanning, right?
Deadpanning. The Take 96.
Take 96.
I mean,
which literally takes 6.
This is Take 6. Is probably what it is. Yeah, you're a good one, dude. I really love you.
Yeah, I love you too, bro.
So the way we do it is I do a little outro.
Okay.
You know, a little something on here. Send everybody away. Let's see what this is going. Yeah. Ed just says he just laughed looking at it.
Sizwa. He's got a new name in our circles. He's the French golfer Sizwa.
Sizwa.
Yeah, Eddie Scissorhands.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Sizwa. Hey, speaking of Ed, I mean the outing has got to be what, Labor Day weekend again?
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Tough weekend for some of us, though.
Yeah, I know.
I think I need to get there. I need to be there this year. You know?
We got to talk about our kids next time. That'd be a good topic.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pair of wonderful kids. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna run off. What, another one in there? Debbie. Hey, there's my sister Debbie.
Hey, sis.
We got stories about her.
Oh boy.
She's a supplier. You know. Yep. There's so
she
many.
Gets off quickly.
What's that?
She gets off really quick.
Yeah. Well, Ro, it was a great show, man. Love you. And
I love you too.
Stay on later so we can chat a little bit after. All right.
Okay. Yep.